Hello, I'm Paul Beckwith. I'm at the University of Ottawa in the laboratory for paleoclimatology, and I'm taking this video on Boxing Day, which is December 26th, which coincidentally happens to be my birthday. And I'm in Toronto at the intersection of Yonge and Dundas. And of course, Toronto is very bustling, very loud city, especially on Boxing Day. Everybody's shopping. So I decided to try to find the quietest spot that's the furthest away from any other people. And I think I've managed to do this. I'm in the big square at Yonge and Dundas. It's pretty loud, but there's nobody within I don't know, a couple hundred feet of me. So how do you manage to do that in downtown Toronto? Come here when everybody else is in the shopping malls. So if you want I just returned from Paris at the COP21 conference, and also in Norway, where I'm co-founding a company called Gaia Engineering to look at climate solutions. You know, the climate system is undergoing abrupt change right now. The entire heat balance has changed on the planet. The Arctic is a lot warmer than it used to be. So the jet streams, which depend on that temperature difference from the equator to the Arctic, are slower, wavier, more distorted, causing greatly increased frequencies, severities, and durations of extreme weather events. So this was unexpected to climate scientists a few years ago, most of them. I've been talking about the dangers of abrupt climate change for almost 5 years now. So this is just sort of a 2015 year-end summary. If you're interested in the science, there's a magazine I would recommend. I think it's online. The problem with doing selfies is that the wording is inverted, but it says State of the Climate in 2014. So this summary, which just came out a few months ago, explains everything that happened in 2014. And the 2015 version will be out in about 6 months. But I highly recommend this. You can Google it, you can find it online. It's part of it's a publication by the Bulletin of the American Meteorological Society. So I've been carrying it around with me for several months, but I haven't got past the first few pages. So maybe I'll be reading that in the next few days. So Paris, I've talked about that in great length on things like EcoShock Radio, Radio EcoShock. Also, I've blogged about it. But I think Paris is good to get the ball rolling, but it's only one leg of the three-legged stool, which you've heard me talk about already if you follow some of my stuff. But if not, we need to slash fossil fuel emissions to zero. We need to start tomorrow, today, yesterday. We should have started years ago, but we haven't. Anyway, we have to treat this as an emergency, because it is an emergency. The climate system is going very nonlinear. Not just the atmospheric circulation patterns, but the ocean circulation patterns. And there's a lot of cities are kind of succumbing to the climate casino. The climate casino is kind of like, if you're unlucky in the climate casino, your city gets leveled by a tornado, or it gets flooded out by 3, 4, 5, 6 months of rainfall in a night or two, or it's on a river that crests and overflows, anyway, we're talking about billion-dollar events. Or you're on the coastline and you have a hurricane with a storm surge. If you happen to be unlucky in the climate casino, your city gets nailed. And this is happening to more and more cities around the world. So we have to take action. There's no question. And it's just, we're fast approaching a tipping point in human behavior and human understanding. Follow the money, I always say, and the big money markets. When you have guys like Mark Carney, who heads the Canadian, who heads the Bank of England, sets interest rates for the globe, directs big banks to big money markets to sort of leads them, tells them what to do. When you have him talking like a doomer at COP21, when you have Michael Bloomberg, was mayor of New York, talking like a near-term human extinctioner almost in COP, not quite, but they're fast approaching the idea that, hey, we're in serious trouble here. When you have Nicholas Stern and Al Gore, of course, and world leaders from almost 196 countries signed the Paris Agreement. So they're saying, yes, slash fossil fuels. Countries are coming to, if the 2-degree target, which they're aiming for, before it's been sort of talked about more than any other target, is requires a zeroing of fossil fuel emissions by 2050. But because of abrupt changes in the Arctic, we don't have till 2050. So the target of 1.5 degrees would require a zeroing of emissions by 2030, which is only 15 years from now. So we need to go on an emergency basis to start slashing fossil fuels as quickly as possible. And it's gonna happen. It's just like, how long will it take, and when will the world start panicking and realize that we have to actually do this as soon as possible? So that's only one leg of the stool. And you need 3 legs on a bar stool. So what are the other legs? The second leg is carbon dioxide removal. We can't keep researching methods to remove carbon from the atmosphere. We know what to do. We know to stop slashing trees in forests. We know that the boreal forests collect huge amounts of carbon, and we're losing those sinks. Those sinks are drying out, and there's tremendous numbers of forest fires, and that's returning the carbon to the atmosphere. So we need to protect these forests. We need to grow more forests, and make roofs everywhere green. I mean, we're just lacking we need to work in phase. Humanity needs to synchronize itself and work in phase. There's many different groups all over the world that are concerned, that are doing their bit, but we don't seem to have an overall synchronicity of action. So this is what will come. We look at methods like biochar to put it in the soils to store carbon. We need to look at carbon sequestration, at biomimicry. How can we help nature sequester carbon? The oceans are 70% of the surface area of the planet, and people don't live on the oceans. So the oceans are a perfect place to devise methods which will allow us to biomimic how carbon is sequestered. For example, in phytoplankton, in protecting the marine food chain. If we remove carbon from the atmosphere or the oceans, then if we remove it from one, it will be removed from the other. So if we remove it from the atmosphere, the ocean CO2 levels will go down, which we need to do because the ocean acidification from higher